You are now tuned to BS3 Network. BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
It's Queen 3 and King. It's Queen 3 and King. It's Queen 3 and King. Queen 3 and King, we the team, it's going down. We the talk of the town, it's going down. We royalty, wear our crowns, it's going down. Tune in now, it's going down. Queen 3 and King, we the team, it's going down. We the talk of the town, it's going down. We royalty, wear our crowns, it's going down. Tune in now, it's going down. It's Queen 3 and King on BS3 Network.
We are back live in front of a studio audience here from Horn, Texas, the new Hollywood.
Keep it down.
The new Black Hollywood. We got all the BS3 Network crew in Thorny, so the new South Dallas, one of the two, depending on what stores you shop at. Welcome to another episode of Queen 3 and King. I am your host, King Doc. Today's episode is Black Responsibility. And we have our special guest host in the building, the Freelosopher himself, Gary Freeman, and we'll get to him in just a moment with our introduction.
Homeboy. Hey, family.
Again, it has been a moment. Hopefully, Gary don't say nothing that make Lily lose it today because he has.
I hope that tickles me, baby. I want him to do it.
I showed the showdown for about 15 minutes. So, matter of fact, we're going to try to get him there.
Yes, please.
If we can. Let me just turn my monitor down a little bit. It sounds like I'm DJing at the club. I'm real loud in my ears. So how before we gonna do some informal introductions, just how y'all doing? We ain't did no show in about 2 months. Y'all we done forgot how to podcast. We've been on this spring break that done ran into the summer because of these Dallas Stars and these Dallas Mavericks, but that's about to end soon, Lily.
Oh no, I almost flicked you up. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Please.
That is about to end soon. But anyway, we are without our seasoned queen today. She is on in contract negotiations.
Every time we have a break, she barely makes it.
She's in contract negotiations right now. Her agent and Ben are really having it out. They're not seeing eye to eye.
Oh, yikes. That sounds serious.
They don't see eye to eye. I think Nikki's agent is a Muslim, and that ain't sitting right with Ben. But let me get into these introductions. All right, so we're going to start opposite this time since the season queen is not here. We're going to start with the baby queen.
This is dumb already.
known as Mama Lee.
Yeah,
I can read. Miss Producer, I am so sorry. I have not read my prompts like I told you. I'm out of practice. Let's back up and not do these introductions. Let's go back. We are live. Search BS3 TV and download today. Our YouTube viewers, please click the like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. That's how we pay our bills. Please give StreamYard permission. If you're on Facebook, please give StreamYard permission to show your name in the chat. There's a link in the show description body of the post that you'll need to click. That may not be the case anymore. We have heard some rumblings that they have worked that out and that's not necessary anymore, but just in case, do it just so we can attribute you to your comments. All right, back to our introductions, and we're going to start a little differently today. We're going to start with the baby queen, known as Lily, or Mama Lee, formerly known as Blake's mama. She is now firmly entrenched. Well, I'm not sure how firmly anymore because Bronx City cost her a little bit. Really? Cost her a little bit. So I don't know whose corner she's in right now. Talk to the people, Queen.
He cost me a lot of it, but I'm blessed to be in the house of the Lord today, guys. We are
living like a Viking right now.
Truly. No, but I'm so happy to be back. It has been a minute. Missed you guys. Can't wait to laugh with Gary because I know he gonna tickle me, baby. He does it every time.
All right. And next we have
Why he give you that?
the educator queen. Let me just say this.
I would probably cussing Mika.
She might need to borrow some of K Ed's control jail. I know she K keep it by the case over there. So holla at your niece.
Yeah, K do keep it, baby.
This is Mika, also known as TT or the educator queen, also known as Georgia. Talk to the people queen.
Georgia.
Not that kind of Georgia.
Hey y'all, literally. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I'm transparent. Right as he was introducing us, if you see me, I set up like this. I caught a cramp on the side of my baby. I'm trying to fight through that thing right now. I sneezed and that whole side went horrible. Wow. That's because you tried to hold in that fart. I tried to hold it in.
Wow. You almost snorted. I'm gonna tell you the real reason. It's because alcohol take the water out your body. And how many boxes of wine you in?
No, guys. Here you go. No, you're not
That's
gonna do
what
that.
It is.
You're not.
That's what it is.
But alcohol does take water out your body, guys. So hydrate when you drink.
Yeah, while we wait, hydrate.
Or you'll be like those people at that T-Pain concert. They was passing out left and right in there.
It was in the building.
Yeah, drunk.
The AC wasn't working.
It was just hot.
Yeah, I don't go to concerts and stuff where there ain't no AC. I leave.
I know. Yeah. But I'm glad to see y'all. I'm trying to settle down.
And you can tell she just got home from work because she still got her educator sweater on.
Yeah, I literally walked through the door at 6:45.
Yeah, she looked like Miss Baldwin today. Miss Baldwin. Hey, Miss Baldwin. Can I go to the bathroom? No, Charles, you done went to the bathroom.
Charles, damn.
Charles, you got a student named Charles.
I ain't had students.
How many times he been held back?
But he got named after his great grandpa. So they they from Alabama. They relocated to Texas.
They call him Charlie though.
Yeah, he still bring collard greens in the ham hocks and shit to lunch and ask the lunch lady to let him warm his lunch up in the microwave.
It's some kids that do that now.
I know it. Trust me, I know. Charles the only one got pig feet in the kindergarten.
He's sitting next to my baby with his summer sausage.
Yeah, no, I forgot. Yeah, Blake.
Yeah, why you been Blake
summer
ain't
sausage religiously. All right. And next, we have a special guest. Again, that is the Freelosopher. Still waiting on him to publish his book or start his podcast on BS3 Network. One of the two, something, all of the above. Mr. Freeman, talk to me.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Glad to be back. Always a pleasure to get with the fam. I ain't even gonna call y'all just co-hosts. Y'all are the fam. I feel at home every time I get on the show. So
I know that's
I'm
right.
glad to be back, and I'm honored that you see some value and invite me back. So thank you all.
Oh yeah. All right. Let's get some comments and then we'll get into this topic. Let's see. We got Chef Jeff in the building.
What up?
This dope cooking show. He says, welcome back. Appreciate you, sir. He said sound effects are hilarious. They think so as well. BS3, Ben Sutter at the third, the gentleman who put the BS3 in BS3 Network. Good morning, sir. And let me just say this. I'm gonna put Ben on Front Street right quick because Ben, he's him and I covered the deep playoff run that the Dallas Stars had. So one thing I can always count on with Ben, when they put the chicken strips out in the press box, they treat the media real well.
Don't do that.
You ain't gonna get up and get them chicken strips.
You ain't I ain't lying.
You ain't gonna get up and get them chicken strips.
Oh,
and he gonna eat them ice cream. Hey, they got an ice cream thing for you too. He gonna get him an ice cream sandwich in the third period.
Don't do Ben like
Yeah,
that. Don't do that.
Yeah, and he really rubbed it in too, since I be trying to cut down on my meat. All right. Ben says Lily about to say first giving honor to God. Right. She's about to do
Who
testimony.
is the head of my life? Okay.
Testimony service. Okay, so now let's go on and get into this. We can remove that introductions thing from the deal. So Black responsibility. How I came up with this just a couple of days ago. In fact, I was watching Charles Barkley's interview, Sir Charles interview with on Club Shay Shay.
Terrible.
And they brought this up basically, and they said, we have a responsibility to our community, in the fact that they have this platform or they have this spotlight on them being professional athletes and now members of the media. So I thought to myself, hey, I wonder if that's a thing nowadays. So let's just go ahead and dig in. Let's ask our first question. And we're going to start with Gary since he's a guest. We're going to ask him. Miss Producer, go ahead and put that first question up. And if y'all have any offshoot to this or anything like that, please let us know. Wait a minute, before we dig in, let's go and get Ben's comment. He responded to these chicken tenders that he be getting. They said set that food out to eat.
They set it out to eat it. Hello, Ben.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you like this though. There are some very prominent members of the media that if y'all would see how quick they be running up there, you'd think they didn't make no money. Cause when I say Ben don't be the first, it make you feel good when white folks get up and eat just as fast as you, boy.
No, dude, you never want me the first one.
You feel like shit. They hungry too.
They hungry.
Okay. So dude,
just tell us not to be the first one to the chicken.
Yeah,
the first one to the chicken.
Oh, look at here.
Get up and run to the cheese or something. Don't be the first one to the chicken.
Yeah, he do. Yeah. All right. He said I come in on the second round. Yeah,
I heard that.
That's true. Do we as African Americans / Blacks, and let me just go ahead and do some housekeeping before I turn it completely over to Gary. So first of all, let me just say these are our opinions, right? This is our perspective. We by no means are the expert. We're not the subject matter experts here, right? So we're just giving our opinion. If you have a difference of opinion, there's a comment section. You can feel free to enter your comments. If you want to add, take away, agree, disagree, feel free, right? We're not shying away from disagreement here. In our opinion, we don't even know at this point I don't know what the other three people's thoughts are going to be on this subject. We hadn't talked about this. Okay. So it's about the discussion for me, and it's about us thinking about it. And number one, I think it's really good as we age to keep our minds active and thinking, number one. But number two, there are certain conversations we need to have as a society anyway, right? As a group of people anyway, right? I don't know that we still feel the same sense of community that we used to feel, which we'll dig into a little bit later. But I think these conversations need to be had. So, Gary, do we as African Americans / Blacks, and that's going to make a lot of people mad. That's why I put them both there, because you can't even get folks to. I understand Black as a color and not a race. I get it. We ain't going to talk about that today. Do we as African Americans / Blacks, whatever you feel, what you want me to put colored on there, have a responsibility? We done talked about collard greens, pig feet, and color, folks. What is this, 1979? Do we as African Americans, Blacks, have a responsibility to our entire race, Gary?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll preface my my first comment by acknowledging the fact that I haven't seen the clip that you're referring to with Shannon Sharp. So I'm basically kind of guessing at the direction that conversation went in. So if I'm off, kind of tilt a little bit, just bring me back. But in my opinion, absolutely, we do have a responsibility for each other. We have a responsibility in how we set the tone for what we do. We set the tone for the world. And if you don't if you don't believe that you have responsibility in setting the tone for the people, understand that you have a responsibility setting the tone for the world. So if we are our entertainers, our athletes, our politicians, everybody that is in the spotlight, they're one of a kind for the most part. And they are in front, they are leading from the front. So when you're put in that position, then the best thing that you can do is to have some kind of moral fortitude, have some dignity about what you are presenting to those people that you are leading. So I absolutely, without a doubt, believe that we have a responsibility. And it starts with ourselves, but also knowing that we influence so much more, even outside of our communities.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Wow. That gave me some notes to dig into some stuff a little later as well. Mika, do we as African American Blacks have a responsibility to our entire race?
Gary said it all for me, but I'm gonna say yes, we do. And because we don't, because we think we don't, that's why we are where we are.
Oh, I was about to say that. Dang.
Mm.
Yeah. It's just a shame that we don't all feel the same way, or we don't act in the same way. But I do absolutely agree with Mika and Gary on this. We have a responsibility.
Okay. Gary, you want something? You got
Yeah,
something?
you know, and I'll go even further and just kind of in my thought process. You know, we used to really set the tone for what was decent and what was in order, what was righteous. We used to set that tone, and for some reason, we flipped that script, and it's almost we've set the tone for what's ratchet. We've set the tone for what's the most irresponsible
media
activity that you can muster up. And we do it all behind the guise of, well, I got to get this paper.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we do it. That's where we, you know, what are they paying us to do? And we don't fall back. We've gotten away from falling back on that dignity that used to be instilled within us and within our community. And we have just started chasing the money. And it's put us in a very peculiar situation to where we are still leading, but we're leading again. Like I said, we're leading. We're leading with bad intentions at heart, so to speak. With the only thing that's motivating us is getting to the back.
Okay. Let us know how you think in the audience. Do you think we have a responsibility to our entire race? Okay. I was going to save this particular piece for later, but Gary kind of touched on it when he talked about the irresponsible nature. So I said, if we set the tone for the world, then we've been irresponsible. And if we're lumping us in, right, which a lot of people don't, that's why I'm curious to see if any audience members have a different take. Because if we're saying we have a responsibility to our race, to our entire race, they're saying we all within that race have that responsibility, then we've been irresponsible. Okay. And how can you tell that? Again, like you said, you can listen to the music, you can watch social media, we've been irresponsible. Where did that start? Did that start when you took church out of schools, when you took prayer out of schools? You know, that whole separation of churches. When did that start? Right? Did it start with the systematic removal of the black man from the house? When did it start? Right? So, you know, if in fact you are someone who believes that we set the tone and we are responsible to our entire race, then guess what? We've been irresponsible. Okay. And I'm going to take just a little bit of a different twist on it. Right. And I want you to answer this for me. And Lily, I'm going to go with you on this one first. Okay. And this is this is a question that came up through the conversation. If an individual has a responsibility to their entire race, right? No, we skip that question right now. I'm going to ask something completely different. If an individual has a responsibility to their entire race, how can they be motivated to be better, to be righteous, to be pure, to be better, right? For an entire race when they can't be motivated for that for themselves? How am I gonna motivate you? Doing it for the guy next door, or the guy across the street, or Miss Pearly down the street, or the guy down at the Black Wreck, or the guy at Cooters, or the guy at D's, or the family that's staying on Rio Rita, or and I'm just naming stuff that from where I come from, right? If I can't motivate myself to do right for me, for my betterment, is it any motivation for me to say I have a right to a race? Lily, what's your thought on that?
I do believe that we can find motivation in different things, and just based on the things that you even named, but also for our children and our children's children. Because I even think about that. I'm like, things are not the same anymore, and we say that all the time, and we throw that around. But I think that's worth digging into and understanding, why aren't things the same anymore, or why don't we feel the same, or why don't we put forth the same effort? So I know that every day, sometimes I'm like, don't put me in that group with them. You know, you have your times where you see us out there acting the fool. That ain't me. But I'm motivated for my children.
Right. Yeah. And part of it is it's because of how we are allowed to act the fool. Right. Back in the day, your next
They
door
did not play
neighbor could
that.
whoop you. The lady across the street, and
Yeah.
when your mama got home, girl, I had to whoop such and such because he was out there acting the fool, talking crazy when them kids cussing and going on. So, and then you're gonna get another whooping. But when our generation got in that place, we cut that out. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because we didn't like it, we didn't, whatever, but we start coming in and saying, you better not touch it. They didn't even like the way you look. You can't say nothing to our kids, Gary.
Well, we suffer from too much independence when it comes to that. I'm going to come back to that though, but I want to touch on what Lily talked about. The idea that we're in a position where you want to do better for you want your children to do better. So talk about what you said, Doc. I can lead by example. I can lead, but I don't necessarily have to always live by that example because I'm not perfect. So just in the same way that we can tell our kids to do some things that we don't necessarily uphold. Like you'll tell your kids, don't drink, don't drive, don't do drugs, don't do this and don't do that, but don't fornicate, but at the same time, you may be partaking in some of those exact same things. And it's just because you don't necessarily live up to it or you don't have the motivation to do it within yourself does not mean that you can't put out a positive message that says this is what truly is right and wrong. And one of the biggest differences between now and then, it's not so much as the children. I had this conversation with someone, with my cousin a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about did kids change? Did the kids change? Are they doing things that we didn't do? And the answer is no, they're not doing the things that we didn't do. But the difference is they're not ashamed of what they didn't, that they did. And those are the things that we didn't flaunt. The things that you did, we the dirt that you didn't flaunt. I don't care if it was selling dope. I don't care if it was fornicating. I don't care if it was cussing. Whatever the case was, you didn't do that in certain arenas, and you kind of kept that stuff to yourself. But now it's not that way, and you hear people, they're disrespectful in everything that they do, from conversation to images, to clothing. Everything is so disrespectful without any boundaries. And that is the biggest difference.
Yeah. There's an entire company that is thriving because of the respect we had in the community. And that's Solo. That red Solo cup was invented because we didn't want to be drinking in front of Big Mama. It was about the respect. We should have. You want to talk about here? Solo should be the ones paying reparations. They have because they done made it. they are a thing. Okay, Mika. So what about that? I can be motivated if I'm not even motivated to do the right thing for myself. Can I be motivated? If I'm the kind of individual that cannot be motivated by myself, can I be motivated by the betterment of the community or for the good of the community?
I would say yes, but I think Gary, you and Alicia kind of put a bow on it all, like with your different answers. We lack shame. We no longer have community that will correct us. So if we're not going to do what we need to do as a person, nobody's going to correct you. Nobody's going to say, hey, why not? So I don't know. I don't know. That's a hard one for me. But I'm gonna say, yeah, we can do it, but it's difficult because we don't have that support. We don't have that community. We don't have that shame.
We don't hold each other accountable either.
And we better not hold each other accountable because you're gonna lose a friend.
And that goes to what I was saying. My other point about the being independent. We got away from the community because we became independent. So the independent, and I'm not gonna I don't want this to sound like I'm talking about women, but I'm just going to use this as an example of, you know, where the single
don't be
mom,
scared, Gary. Don't be scared. I got you.
Where the single mom said, "Don't touch my kids. You don't put your hands on my kids." You know, you very seldom you heard that from some guys or whatever, but not a lot. You didn't hear that. Men didn't necessarily think like that, and so then you developed a whole community of people saying, "Don't correct my kids. Don't talk to my kids. You're not. You don't pay his bills. You don't do that. You have no stake in correcting my child."
Right.
And so we've developed around that sense of independence, and it's really just caused our community to deteriorate versus something that we really took pride in the past. Right. You didn't have little Johnny running up the street and little Johnny. Now I'm back with Charles, but you didn't have little Johnny running up the street going buck wild because he knew Mr. Ed saw him and he was going to tell his mama and tell his daddy or whoever. And, so he had a second set of eyes. So again, that either that shame or at least hiding what you did, you weren't so bold to do some of the things that you did. Whereas now you don't have that community because everybody's operating in these independent silos. And so now more people can get away with doing more and more because they don't have that second, third, fourth set of eyes on. So that's why I say I think the independence is really hurting us.
Do you think that some of this is because of the socioeconomic differences within our race are so varied now? See, back then we had everybody was low. We were just all low class, the lower class, right? Now there's such a wide variety of socioeconomic statuses within our race. Did that play a part in this sense of community going away or deteriorating? Because we're not all in the same mix. See, that's why the people who are smart on some of these topics will understand that some of these issues are not race issues. They're socioeconomic issues. They're not racist against people who are staying in that zip code. Whoever is in that zip code, whether they white, black, Mexican, whatever they are, gonna get this sort of treatment. In other words, the quality of their fuel. A lot of people don't even know that. Do you know why I don't get gas in certain neighborhoods, in certain parts of town? Because those tanks aren't clean. See, a lot of folks don't even know that.
Yeah.
Their tanks aren't serviced the same way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So again, does some of this have to do with the varied socioeconomic statuses we have within our race? And anybody can comment on that.
Go ahead. I would say so because you know how you used to have Miss Franny that lived across the street and watched your house and watched your kids and watched anybody who entered to the neighborhood and all that stuff and could correct your kids. Now when you move into these uppity neighborhoods, nobody's watching your house. Nobody's trying to correct your kids. And us millennials not going to correct your kids because I don't want so-and-so saying nothing to me. So I can see you going in somebody's car and I'll be like, I'll call the police, but I'm not saying nothing to that kid.
Snitch.
But Miss Franny Neal could have came out and hit you and said, get your tail away from that car. So I think, we were more responsible back then because we were not as independent. We were not in silos. We did not operate independently. We leaned on each other as a culture, as a race, in order to move on and move upward.
Gary?
Well, I wonder if I don't think the demographics have actually changed that much since, let's say, the 70s, late 60s, early 70s. And what I mean by that is most Black people still live around Black people. Like Black people in general are still going to congregate around Black people and they're going to live around Black people. It seems like it's a lot more integrated because if you look at like sports teams and stuff like that, even at a high school level, you go to a football game, you go to Allen High football game, and the football team is 75% Black, but the school is only about 13% Black. And so it looks like it's a lot more integrated than it actually is, when in actuality, most people are still going to still live south of I-35 or I-30. So we're not really, and so I say that just to say that the socioeconomics are pretty much still the same, because back then, the doctors and the lawyers and whoever else that now live in Frisco used to live in South Dallas or Oak Cliff or Lancaster or whatever. So the people were still there. The people are still there. And those people back then had that same, the rich people, if they were rich and Black, they were still rich and Black back then. As a matter of fact, there are probably per capita, there are probably more Black millionaires back then than there are now. So I don't know if the socioeconomics has changed that, and that has been the reality of it, more so that just the individual people and the concept of I'm out for mine and I don't care about nobody else.
That's right.
Well,
That's
so
right.
I was going to say, how about this? Maybe the actuality of the socioeconomic impact, but the mentality of the socioeconomic impact. In other words, you think you are this, so therefore you
That's right.
move like that.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay. Miss Producer, go ahead. Let's go with our next question.
Miss Producer.
We'll start with Mika on this. Is this responsibility unique to our race? Are other races, do they feel the same responsibility to not embarrass the hell out of their race? Educator Queen.
Let me say this right, because I'm an education lord. I was just having this conversation with somebody at work. Absolutely, other races do this. That's why you see Susie, who is the VP of a Fortune 500 company, but don't know how to spell cat. They feel like they need to be responsible for their race, responsible for how they, what they make, responsible for, how they live, responsible for making sure she moves up in her career. Like, they're more responsible for each other. I would think. I mean, not more, but they are responsible for each other. Do we do it? It depends. But yet, this is not unique to our race. Does it display differently over there? Yes, to different races. But do we all feel responsible in some way to each other in different races? Yeah.
Okay. Lily, is this responsibility unique to our race? Do we feel a responsibility to be a certain way, to behave, to not embarrass our race? Is this unique to us, or do other races?
I agree with what Mika said. Other races do this, but like she said, they display it in different ways. And I'll even say this. I actually was at the nail shop talking to my nail tech, and
that's Cap.
Shut up.
You didn't even understand what she was saying. That's Cap.
Please. Sophia knows what's up. Shout out to Sophia. Just talking to her. He even talked about.
That's enough. It's not that funny. Go ahead, Leisha.
I can't help what the audience gonna do. It's just one white lady on the front row. You can hear her.
But even talking to her, she just spoke about getting started in the business of doing nails and cosmetology. How she started first, then her brother started and branched off, but they helped each other.
He did cosmetology and nails.
Yes, they all do that.
You just got a manicure.
Just did.
I know.
Probably before the show.
See, Gary understand what I'm doing.
No, you just got a manicure. I understand. I'm turning it left. I'm making a left.
No, because we got sponsors. We want
him downstairs.
We want sponsors. We not doing that. Happy Pride Month, everyone.
Happy Pride Month, guys.
No, but just the way they display it, I think is different. Like,
he direct the choir at church on Sunday too.
I'm done. Go ahead, Gary.
Go to Gary. Because you're irresponsible. You talking about responsibility? You're irresponsible right now.
I don't even want to talk no more.
No,
because I'm tired and I don't even want to talk no more. Go ahead, Gary.
So, yeah, I see it all the time. I work for an Indian guy,
Mm-hmm.
two partners, Indian as in Asia Indian, and they do a lot of stuff based on their own community. They even have what I consider is a brown book, where we used to have a green book. I know that they probably won't admit it, but I know that they do operate with this brown book, because every part of the business that they can do business with other brown people, they will do business with other brown people, in particular Indian people. And so they do look out for one another and they hold that to the highest regard. You know, that's a goal that they have. And it's and again, going to, the idea of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable within their community. They do feel if somebody is doing something that is out of line, that represents their nationality or their race, then they do feel a sense of shame or a sense of, and stating that those people are being irresponsible with what they are presenting to the rest of the world. So it's just really, we're not the only ones. And like you said, the Asian people this is the reason that the Asian people own all of the nail salons, and it's the reason that they own all of the hair, the beauty supply stores, because that is a niche that they have worked, they built, and they intend to keep it. So they put that in place to follow those guidelines that have been, they follow the guidelines that have been put in place in order to keep that industry under their thumb, in their control. So there are a lot of people there. Everybody else does think like that. And I think that we have gotten to a place where we're successful or semi-successful, or think we've been more successful. And so we have tended to shun and move away from that, instead of helping to go back and build on to what we can actually take advantage of as a group. So I think that's it definitely is a thing in other races, in other communities. It's just not we for some reason we fell off the bandwagon. We should have kept that going. We used to be like that, but we it just fell somehow.
Scared.
Right. Say that again, Mika.
Scared. Don't want to see the next person do better than us.
Yeah, because this is, when I think about this and I think about, some of your answers, the thing that popped into my head was, we can't even support Black businesses the right way. And when I say the right way, I don't even mean that necessarily, because I've tried to support Black businesses, on occasion, and I got news for you, man. I still need service. I still need value. I still need, I'm not supporting a Black business just for the sake of supporting a Black business. I'm supporting it, hoping I'm going to get excellence from you. Just like I would. It doesn't matter what the restaurant is. It doesn't matter what the store is. It doesn't matter what the service is. If I'm not getting good service, I'm not going to continue to use it. That's simple. But I'm also not going to go in trying to get a discount off RIP either.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I am. I'm trying to get it.
Just because it's Black.
Hey, look, man. The Black card got to be worth something now. Come on now. It's got to be worth something. God, come on, man. You can't just be open and call yourself a Black-owned business. You can charge me the same thing charge white folks. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
Yes, indeed.
Just call me to the back. Hey, bro, we don't do this for everybody, but since you're over here, so we don't. Yeah.
Wow.
I do that.
Miss Producer, next question. Let's see where we're at now. Okay, so I think they've kind of answered that with why or why not within Unique. Okay, so let's start with you, Gary, on this one. Do you individually feel the pressure to be a positive example of our entire race? Do you feel the weight of societal expectations and stereotypes?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I was raised to be like that. to, you know, to how you carried yourself in public. And I haven't always lived up to it, but I was raised to understand that there's a certain light that's being, that's always going to be, that you'll always be under. There's a certain level of scrutiny that you'll always be under. So you have to be better than the norm. You've got to be twice as good to get half as far. So the idea that you individually have to, I think that's how you do it. If every one of us does anything individually, and you are the best example of who you are as an individual, then as a whole race and as a whole community, then that's what elevates. Doesn't even have to be a consorted. Didn't have to be an effort, a concerted effort. It just has. If everybody is doing their own thing, but they're being the best of who they are, then as a whole, we lifted each other up because we were being the best of who we could be. We don't. So I think that's going to be the biggest. I think that's how you can manipulate it the easiest, is being the best version of who you can be, and your circle of influence, the people that are around you. How do you influence them by your actions? And then again, and the next group builds their community. The next group builds their community. A fourth group builds their community, and now all of a sudden the entire area has been uplifted. So but it starts with you as an individual. So yes, there is a responsibility.
Yeah, and so this is what, your answer, caused me to push back a little bit on the other communities, this being unique to our community. I don't know that it's unique, but it doesn't land the same way in other communities. For instance, I know you ain't never heard no other community say, your mama ain't raised you like that. If such and such saw you, you would be, ain't none of that going on. I ain't never heard. I mean, think about how many comedians you done heard talk about when I went to my white friend house, the way they was able to talk back, the way they was able to such and such and such. So for me, it doesn't land the same way in other communities that it lands in our community. Your mom ain't raised you that way. Mika, do you individually feel the pressure to be a positive example of our entire race? Do you feel the weight of societal expectations and stereotypes?
Yeah, I do. And especially working.
You must don't, because you just said, yeah, it's yes to me.
I don't give a damn who you
are. Now take that and cash it.
At your nearest Bank of America. Yes, especially in the sector that I work in education, I feel like eyes are
That's
always...
exactly what I was going to say.
I said, come on, sector. She ate with that.
I can't be serious, guys. Y'all gotta stop.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You're okay.
I'm sorry.
Damn, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Kevin Hart. Yeah, working in education, I feel like eyes are always on me. And even though, you're at work, but you're also an example. So when I'm walking through different schools, when I'm doing this, I make sure I know this sounds crazy, but I'm relaxed with y'all. We laugh, we joking, but I make sure to speak correct English. I make sure my hair is a certain way. I make sure I make sure that is happening.
Even today?
Keep going, Mika, because I knew he was going to go.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. You're right.
Push through.
So, yeah, I feel... Bye. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to give it on up to the Lord.
That's what I said. But yes, we're an example, but I feel like as each generation has passed, that has slipped away.
Okay. Lily, do you individually feel the pressure to be a positive example of our entire race? Do you feel the weight of societal expectations and stereotypes?
I do as well.
Take your time.
Especially being in corporate America, especially I would say within the past several months, I've been in a lot of meetings with like executives and directors, and it's a pressure. Like sometimes I'm nervous just for the presentation itself, but I'm also like, make sure you're on point with what you say it a certain way. When somebody has a question and it annoys you, don't show it on your face, because then you're the angry Black girl for responding a certain way. So I definitely feel the pressure to be positive in that space, for sure.
Yeah. And I had to think about that question, because part of me, struggles with, is it just the way I am? Right. I'm going to perform well. I'm going to be
Yeah.
a high performer, a high character, a high integrity kind of dude, regardless. Right. But when I think about it, I think about different circumstances. I do find myself thinking, I'm trying to set an example so the next dude don't automatically get. For instance, I'll give you an example. Sometimes when I'm in line at the grocery store, the way I behave with some and interact with other races is because I'm trying to make it light on the next brother who interact with those races. The reason why I hold the door a little longer when a white dude is coming up is because I'm trying to make it easy on the next brother that's interacting. Like you talked about, in a corporate setting, the reason why I got down the way I got down is because I want the next brother to have an opportunity, just like I had an opportunity. Right. So, so the weight of societal expectations and pressure, I don't know that I feel pressure or weight, right? But I feel a responsibility, but it wasn't, I guess it's not a pressure or a weight for me, because it's
It's
guess
an
what?
awareness.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
Because
that's
guess
it.
what?
That's the word.
I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to perform well anyway. I'm going to perform high anyway. But I was acutely aware of how what others may see in this, right? And guess what? Sometimes can't y'all even see the look on their face sometimes when you behave in a way or you perform in a way that is beyond what they expected?
Yeah.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Or if they are used to seeing or hearing you virtually and they see you in person for the first time.
Wow.
Look at her. I can't
Like,
tell
what?
you. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a customer or knocked on a ring on a customer's doorbell who has been interacting with me on the phone, and they see me in the door and they're like, "You're Ivan?"
Yeah.
Yep.
Period.
But one of there's even certain terms and phrases that Black folks done got wrong so many times that when they come up in corporate settings, I slow down. Like, axe. I am not finna ask nobody nothing. And guess what? How many times y'all done been in meetings where y'all done heard other Black folks talking, y'all cringing like a
Jesus.
God, no. Well, okay. So why don't y'all say nothing?
There's a time and a place to make the correction.
Not right there, right? I'm not
I
talking
don't
about
want to end up in HR.
Yeah, I'm not about to argue with you.
I don't want to end up in HR. If I feel like that person is receptive, I don't mind having a conversation with them. But if I know they one of them, you ain't gonna get me in the HR. Nope.
And the past experiences that I had, and I tried to say something to somebody like, "Hey, you're interviewing every day."
Yeah.
Or you're doing this, what you mean? Never mind. That's fine.
Continue on.
That's fine. I was just trying to, people get upset or angry or mad, and I don't have time. So if I feel like you're gonna be receptive, of course I'm gonna give you that information. But if you feel like you want to say Kroger's in front of people, that's your business.
In Sonics.
So that's your business. I'm not gonna do that.
Well, okay.
Alicia, get up.
All right, let's go to the next question, Ms. Producer. And Gary, let's start with you since you're the only one probably composed right now. In what areas do these responsibilities apply? So we have a responsibility to our people, right? To our community. In what areas do these responsibilities apply?
Would you ask a question to?
You. I'm starting with you.
I think they apply to
it's ignorant.
It wasn't your fault this time, Gary. She lost it. It wasn't your fault this time.
I think they apply across the board. I think they apply, within general conversations. I think they apply at work. I think they apply at school, in in
What
your
about in
community,
wardrobe?
in your wardrobe, in
What
your
about in
speech,
hairstyle?
in your hairstyle,
Now you can hear
everything.
right now. I'm asking these questions, trying to be adversarial somewhat, because there's some people who would listen to this and be like, "I ain't finna."
Yeah, and I could, because what some people will deem acceptable, other people won't. Some people will say that braids aren't acceptable when I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't care if that's corporate or if that's casual.
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with it at all. It's just how we groom our hair. Is there certain things that aren't acceptable? Do you go into a corporate board meeting sagging? No, you don't. Do you go in with a red wig on? No, you don't.
No.
You know what I mean? But
Have you
should
seen
you
that
even
before?
own a red wig?
Lily,
Not
Mika,
unless
have y'all
it's
seen
not
any?
unless it's Valentine's Day and you and Boo doing y'all thing or whatever. But otherwise, you don't even need no red wig. There's no place on
I've
earth
seen it though.
unless you volunteer for Ronald McDonald or something. I don't know whatever you're doing with that.
Yeah.
That's not real. Don't do that.
He said it's not real.
You're gonna be the one with the red wig.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, when you
otherwise,
leave.
yeah, you have a responsibility. How you carry yourself. I mean, you're setting the tone again for your community, for the individuals that are around you. And if all of you are setting the same tone, then it becomes then that's what becomes culture. Once everybody as an aggregate starts doing things, whether it's good or bad, whatever they start doing as a total, that's what becomes culture. And what
Yeah.
do you want your culture to represent?
Mhm.
You want your culture to represent everything that is on a superior level in their speech, in their dress, in the way they walk. I get on to my son, one of my sons, about this. He walks with short steps and kind of bends, he kind of leans his head forward and head down. And I tell him, stand up straight. And pick up, don't walk slow. Walk like you're going.
Ooh, that used to bother me, man. Walk with some pace about yourself. Like, low energy walking ass. Yeah, my kids probably got tired of that, man. Like, it's almost like I used to tell them, folks who walk with some pace, they are generally more successful than folks who walking all plodding, like you ain't in no hurry to do nothing.
You ain't uptight about nothing. You ain't trying to get nothing done. Your time is that invaluable. Mine is valuable. I got to move. I got to get something.
I'm telling you.
But going back to what it does, it all matters. It's all pieces to the puzzle to build the picture that you want. So you want to make sure that you manipulate those pieces at all times in order to give the perfect storyboard. So that's why I say it all matters.
All right, Lily, what areas are there any other areas, or what areas do you think these responsibilities apply that you may have particularly seen us lacking in?
I agree with what Gary said, but I have seen some hair in meetings. I'm like, ooh, I probably wouldn't have done that on today, but on today's meeting. But to each their own. But a lot of times you can't correct those people that feel like you can't tell me nothing. How they ain't gonna tell me how to wear my hair. Like, yeah, they don't have to say it, but
right, they're gonna show it.
And that's why you'll
feel
about see it in 5 years when you're at the same level.
It'll be reflected in your paycheck.
I'm telling you, but
they won't tell
people you can't have that conversation with. It'll reflect. You may not think it does, but it does.
Yeah, they can't tell you, but they can show you.
Absolutely.
Mika, what areas do these responsibilities apply?
Nothing to add. I'm with Alicia, especially after job interviews. I hope the applicant will reach out to the panel and say, "Hey, I want to say thank you and wanted to see if I can do anything better and get some feedback from you." I'm always like, "Yes, absolutely. Can we talk?" Because you had a nose ring that was in your mouth. Don't wear that to the interview.
I don't understand. How did they nose ring get in their mind?
They have a nose ring, but it has like stuff dangling and
it connects. You know
gotcha.
those that kind of
Yeah.
connect.
And
Ah,
although that's your business, because me and Alicia went and got nose rings. That's your business, but you can't even see them.
Yeah. I literally, I was doing a job fair. I was still working in corporate America at the time, and I was one of the members of management in charge at this job fair, and we had been there. That job fair on a Saturday, I want to say it went from like 10 to 2.
Yeah.
Okay, and so at about 10 minutes to 2, in walks a couple of our little cousins
Mm.
pushing strollers
Oh no.
with their babies.
Mm.
And I looked at some of my counterparts, and I'm like, I got it. Like I wanted to go handle it. Like, I got it. You know, because I didn't even want them to have nothing to talk about other than what
Yeah.
they had just seen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I headed it off at the pass and just, politely did what I needed to do. You know, like, hey, it's 10 minutes till we're not giving out any more interviews, et cetera, et cetera. But talk about dumbfounded, baffled, speechless. I'm still to this day.
Yeah.
you know what? But that's also part of the responsibility.
It
It's
is.
that's it boils down to what we started this conversation off with, and that is you recognizing that and saying, okay, I got to head this off at the pass. So for one, you put that barrier up between you,
Correct.
between your colleagues,
Yeah,
and them.
I was a buffer. Yeah,
And then two, you have, if you probably if I'm not mistaken, you probably had a conversation with them about, hey, look, if you want to join this team, this is what it's going to have to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And so and I would have went ahead and told them the whole truth of the matter. I stopped you from embarrassing yourself, because if you were to move forward right now, then you will have no shot at this.
Mm-hmm.
But here's my card. Let me tell you what you're going to need to get in here.
Mm-hmm.
And because where you're starting off at, it will never happen for you. So that's the part of that responsibility that I think we have to take upon ourselves, and not just be so, it's really cringeworthy. But you got to go and do what it takes to get them on the right track, because that may be the reason that they're unemployed right now, because they went to 7 other interviews in that same manner, or 7 other job fairs in that same manner, and nobody ever told them, hey, baby, you can't do that. You gotta do it this way. If you don't have a babysitter, just don't come to the job.
Well, what I told
go
them,
into protection mode.
Yeah. So I did, casually, politely, and professionally told them, like, look, in the job fair situation, you want to show up early.
Yeah.
You want to show up late. We're 10 minutes from closing. And in addition, and next time when y'all have to come, and you don't have sitters and things of that nature, one of you stay down in the car with the kids, send one up.
Switch it off.
Process, but that's why you come early, so you have time to do that stuff, and then you go down, let the other one come up, and
they'll respect that more than you saying, "Don't bring these kids to this interview," and not having.
I understand you might not have had a choice. I get that
exactly, but I don't know if y'all seen this meme, or is this post that was kind of circulating on Facebook a few weeks ago. But it was this girl. She had to be maybe 19 or 20. She went to an interview, and they told her they weren't going to be able to interview based on the way that she was dressed. She had on a crop top, like a long sleeve white shirt crop top with some jeans and kind of like a cardigan over it. And I couldn't believe the amount of people that were telling her that there was nothing wrong with what she had on. I'm like, y'all are just, this and little girl, if she was genuinely like, is there something wrong with what I have on? Like, it was like she was genuinely confused. Like,
she was showing midriff, like skin was showing mid. Okay.
You could see her belly button.
Yeah.
And they were like, girl, there's nothing wrong with that. You could have just they could have just asked you to close your sweater and gone on. I'm like, why would you not tell this girl the truth? But the amount of people that were like That girl, there's nothing wrong with that. I couldn't believe that.
That's ridiculous.
Like, couldn't believe it.
All right, so Gary, go ahead, but Miss Producer, while he's doing that, put the next question up, and I'm gonna.
But again, that's that's part of the responsibility and having that conversation. I always tell people all the time, bypass that pair of Jordans until you have a suit that you can wear to an
That's
interview.
right.
Period.
Well, they cost the same. I can go to K&G and get a $200 suit. I can't even buy Jordans $200.
You can get two in K&G probably.
For real. So because you're more likely to go and do an interview or to a funeral than you are to go, to American Airlines Center and actually get on the court and use them Jordans. So you need to invest in yourself. And again, that's one of those things, how do we take pride in ourselves and how do we set the right tone and what image are we trying to portray? Well, that's one of those things. And so sometimes that just comes with a little conversation that people don't even think about like that. Like how I just broke it down to you all, probably never, a lot of people won't even think about that. I will go to I hate to see people at a funeral wearing some jeans and a polo shirt and some Jordans. I hate to see that. Like, bro, that's your grandmama. You know what I mean? Your grandmama laying there.
But Gary, you missing it though. They're gonna be by the casket posing for the IG to get some pictures with Big Mama. And I got to have my J's on when I'm doing that.
Yeah, so that's your grandma.
Grandmama's head shaking in that casket. That weird.
Wow. Okay, I'm through.
Can we get off here?
I'm through. I'll take this question off. I don't even want to ask this.
No, I'm done.
We just proved the fact that we're not nurturing right now. That wasn't nothing nurturing about that.
What are we doing?
I'll quit. Stop it. But yeah, okay. So that was one of the departments. When I thought about the question before, what areas do these responsibilities apply? I thought about us as a community not being as nurturing as we are, right? Yeah. Now, just like Gary, I'm apologize in advance. This is no attack on women. This is just an observation. Women are the nurturers. So if you agree that we're lacking in the nurturing department, doesn't this tie back into some other shows that we've had in discussing women in our community and where they're at and why they're there and et cetera, et cetera?
I don't think we're lacking.
You think we're nurturing as a community right now?
Yeah, well, I think we can be a little blunt and in kind of in our responses and whatnot. But I think that for the most part, we are really we are really emotionally tied to one another. And we know what's right or wrong, and we see it. And we try to correct it within our own community. I just don't think we extend it enough far. It goes back to the independence. I don't think we extend that nurturing out to a great enough distance.
This is what I think.
Where people are lacking in some households, the other households pick up. And I think so. I do think we're nurturing. I just don't think we probably are nurturing to the extent that we need to be.
Yeah, I think it's episodic. We have episodic diligence, right? If something happens, that sparks or triggers the need for something, I think we're doing. We're episodic. And in other words, it's going to be sustained as long as the energy for that needs to be sustained. But then it goes away and we're back into some familiar ruts, right? That are not that. So I think as long as there is something that, causes a reaction or a response, we're really good about that. For instance, I'll give you that example. If there's a death in the family, that day, that week, that couple of weeks, you're real good about calling and checking on folks and stuff like that. How long does that last? It's episodic. It's episodic, so I think because again, I'm coming at this based on the theory, okay, and the belief that love covers a multitude of sins. So I think we don't do enough loving folks through some of their issues, right? In other words, sometimes when we are doing that correcting, we're correcting with such a negative connotation, with such a negative tone to folks that it makes it hard for them to receive it, right?
Mhm.
You know, maybe it is because, you know, the folks are jaded, or they're tired of seeing it, or they're frustrated by, you know, what's happening in society. But again, I personally think that we as a people can be more loving to each other,
I agree.
because, you know, there's a lot of people out there who would say, we the first folks to we ain't gotta wait for nobody else to tear us down. We in line first.
Oh yeah.
And if there's chum in the water, oh, the piranhas is out.
Mm.
Any thoughts on that before we go to our final thoughts?
No, you said it.
All right, let's go to final thoughts, and let's start with the baby queen on our final thoughts.
Thank you, Gary, for joining us tonight and providing your perspective for sure. I really enjoyed.
It took him till 5 minutes left in the show before he hit you with big.
He hit me, but he hit me with a good one.
Too,
he came through just like I know he would. But yeah, I want to thank him for joining us tonight. It's always good to have him. Like he said, his family when he's here. As far as the topic, I would just say we have to do better as a race. I think even the last point that you made, I think we need to put love back into our culture and really love on each other, because a lot of us are hurting with different things that are happening within our lives, and we don't know how to express that. We haven't been given the tools to show that appropriately, and we have to love each other through that so that it does open up the door where you can have these conversations and it be received in a positive way.
All right, Mika.
Gary. You like how I said that? That tickled me, y'all. I'm
like
sorry.
he spelled his name Garay.
Gary. But I've been up since 3 o'clock. I'm sleepy. Thank you for coming on. Like my brother and my sister said, your family. And about the topic, I think a lot has changed within our generations, and the responsibility has also changed. So we don't feel as accountable for each other, which is making our race, our culture decline and get lost in many things. So I'm with my sister. Let's do better. I think we need to be intentional about some of the stuff that we do within our culture.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mr. Freelosopher. Final thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. Do better, you know, do better, you know, expand, like I said, expand your community. The same things that you expect and the same thing that you would require of your immediate circle, you know, start requiring that of your extended circle and your extended community.
Yeah, I like that.
And put forth, you know, the effort to train and teach and show the people that may not necessarily have had the same upbringing or don't have the same values, but show them, give them a reason to gravitate towards your values. Show them what the process is and what the benefits of that of us coming and growing together and being better as a society. What that means to us and what kind of opportunities that's going to present as a whole. I think if we go into it with that mindset, that we are here to lift up each other, we are doing better, we are loving on each other, we are being a little more nurturing, a little more understanding to each other. I think that will really eliminate a whole lot of problems in our community. And if you see a black man and he come into your restaurant and you're a black, especially if you're on the north side and you black, give that man a discount. That man had a whole lot of places to go. He could have took his money anywhere, but he came to your shop. You know what? We ought to petition Bank of America to like give a black Visa debit card. We ought to do it. We ought to petition them to give a black debit Visa card. Every time you show that card,
it's automatic.
It's automatic 10% off.
Yeah.
I'm with it.
My final thoughts are going to be kind of all over the place a bit because I'm trying to tie in a bunch of thoughts to this particular subject. But I want to take you back to when you were young in school, the benefits of us wanting to get kids in school early, right? Or in social settings earlier so they can start interacting with other kids. It's because they know you start to learn certain skills in that setting, right? Okay. Well, nowadays, we are disconnected as a society because of social media, right? Folks is outside the wrong way. They're not outside like we was outside. You follow me? And there are some things that you develop by being outside the way we used to be outside that you are not developing anymore. To know what's right or wrong, to know what's acceptable or not acceptable. See, sometimes you got to be in a situation where if you do the wrong thing, you can get your head knocked off. And if you've never in that situation, you ain't gonna know what's the right or wrong thing, right? So again, we're disconnected, but due to social media and things of that nature. In fact, the reason why teenage pregnancy numbers are down is because they're not meeting each other. Okay, there's a correlation, a direct correlation to why those numbers down, but suicide numbers are up. Right? You know, so there's a correlation between those things because there's not that interaction. We are disconnected, right? And then another thing we got to consider, which is why, in my estimation, why we need to be more loving, more forgiving, is because we suffer from PTSD as a people.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. There's no way around it. You know, I'm not using this as an excuse, you know, for myself, but I understand that PTSD impacts other folks a lot differently than it made me. So I'm going to extend some latitude. I'm going to extend some grace to them, understanding that our people, man, we done suffered through some stuff, you know, over the years, right? You know, and, you know, German shepherds and water hoses mean something different to us than it do to y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't think Rin Tin Tin when we say German shepherds. When we think fire hoses, we don't think that's what I can be when I grow up. Okay. So again, PTSD is a real thing. And then for me, Black responsibility, personally, I think it needs to start, like Michael Jackson said, with the man or the woman in the mirror. Start with yourself, you know, and if you have a responsibility to yourself to do the right thing, then that responsibility that you have to our race will follow. All right. So again, we appreciate Mr. Gary Freeman, the philosopher, for joining us.
You want to take a look at yourself and make a.
See, she don't even know the words.
Na 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 na.
Go with the man in the mirror. Join us again. We'll be back next week. Not sure what the topic will be just yet, but it'll be another fun episode. Hopefully, the season queen will be back.
Bless you. Bless you.
And shout out to her and whatnot. But again, thank you, Gary. And we will see you again next week on another episode of Queen 3.
Look at that man in the mirror.
Make that change.
Bro, bring the hook in. Queen 3 and King, we the team. It's going down. We the talk of the town. It's going down. We royalty, wear our crowns. It's going down. Tune in now. It's going down. It's going down. We just hit you with another one. It's going down. We just hit you with another one. It's going down. We just hit you with another one. Tune in now. We just hit you with another one. It's Queen 3 and King. 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 On BS3 Network.